A very good morning to everybody on Indian Independence Day. On this day, I would like to focus on India as I see in 2046 at 100 years of independence. Let me start by citing a proud moment for India, the first recording of gramophone by Thomas Alva Edison. When he invented the gramophone record, which could record human voice for posterity, he wanted to record the voice of an eminent scholar on his first piece. For that, he chose Max Muller, who was in England and he came from the German ethnicity, another great personality of the 19th century. He wrote to Max Muller saying, "I want to meet you and record your voice. When should I come?" Max Muller held Edison in great respect. So he organized a time where all the scholars of Europe would gather in England at a particular time and asked Edison to come to England on that day. Accordingly, Edison reached there and he was introduced to the audience. Later, at the request of Edison, Max Muller came on the stage and spoke in front of the instrument. Edison went back to his laboratory and came back in the afternoon with the record. And he played the disc in the presence of everybody. The audience was thrilled to hear the voice of Max Muller from the instrument. After several rounds of applause and congratulations to Thomas Edison, Max Muller came to the stage and addressed the scholars and asked them, "You heard my original voice in the morning and you heard my voice in the afternoon. Do you understand what I said? Do you know what language I spoke in?" Nobody knew it. Everybody fell silent. Max Muller then went on to say that was Sanskrit, and what he had said was the first line of Rig Veda. He then explained what he had spoken. He said that what he had spoken was Agni Mile Purohitam, and he said he had chosen it because Vedas are the oldest of the human race, and when the rest of the world was still staying in caves and hunting, Indian civilization had produced the Vedas, which was a great bundle of knowledge and wisdom. When the people did not, Agni Mile Purohitam was replayed and the entire audience stood up in silence as a mark of respect. There is a lot more to India. The art of navigation was born on the river Sindhu 5,000 years ago. Zinc extraction existed in India even in the 13th century. The process used for distillation was a downward process of distillation, which is not easy. The pillar of Delhi near Qutub Minar was estimated to be cast 1,500 years ago. The pillar standing open and it is still not got rusted to date. Indian astronomers had recognized that sun was the center of the universe and the circumference of the earth was 5,000 yojanas. Each yojana is 7.2 kilometers. Sushruta Samhita was the first medical encyclopedia, the earliest one to be written in 1200 BC. It has 184 chapters containing 1,120 illnesses and 700 medicinal plants. The value of pi was put forth by Aryabhatta when he was just about 23 years old. Zero is also from the findings of ancient India. It is not surprising that Grant Duff, the British historian on India, says many of the advances in science that we consider today have been made, in fact, in India centuries ago. It is no wonder that India was subjected to so many invasions. 200 years of British rule broke the backbone of this majestic country. There are several atrocities committed by the colonial rule which are not documented and do not find themselves a place in the books of history. India, which was a part of the 27% of the world trade, slipped to 2% by the time the British left us. India was the biggest cash cow for the British. The handloom weavers who weaved the finest of muslin were harassed, their looms were destroyed, and their thumbs were cut off so that they would not be able to weave the muslin anymore, and there would be a demand created for the cloth made by the mills of the British. 15 to 29 million Indians died due to British-induced famine. The biggest and the most known is the famine of Bengal. There are several instances which one could cite. This India of 1947, where does it stand today? India ranks third in the list of 4 large economies of the world. India ranks the youngest country in the world with an average age of 28. In 1969, the Organization of Islamic Cooperation invited India, but at the conference, India was not permitted to join in, not permitted to enter. Last year was the 50th anniversary, and who do you think was the guest of honor? India. India has been having a relentless focus on education. It has got 50,000 colleges, 1.5 million schools, and 320 million students, and quite a few of them are our daughters. With the NEP, this could only get better. In 2011, several earthquakes hit Assam and there were many landslides on the road. The international experts said it would take at least 6 weeks to throw it open. Border Roads took up the challenge and opened the roads in 19 hours flat. But an unfortunate incident happened at that time. According to Mr. Deepak Vora, the ambassador from India, in his TED talk, on one of the precipitous terrain, he goes on to say that a young man fell to his death. They took the body home to his mother. She had a request to ask of the ambassador. She wanted a job for her younger son, not in the private sector, but in the same organization where the elder one worked. The logic was that if the elder one gave up his life for the country, it would be a matter of pride to have the second one down the line. This, my dear students and ladies and gentlemen, is incredible India. We are Indians not because we live in India, but because India lives in us. Let us do a bit for our motherland. I end with the opening stanza from the poem My Native Land by Walter Scott. Breathes there the man with soul so dead, who never to himself hath said, This is my own, my native land. Jai Hind.